Hello! Welcome to this week's The Story of a Poor Boy. That started really well. Matt's dropped his pen straight away.
Nice.
Oh, right, okay.
I play with it.
I'm Mikey.
I'm Matt.
And we'll come to you a bit later than we originally planned because I had an absolute nightmare with my laptop on Tuesday. We sat here for 2 hours trying to get it to work. In the end,
Banging our heads against the table.
Yeah, it turned out it was because I've just reformatted my laptop and some settings, went back to default settings. But it's working now, so we may as well make the most of it before I break it again. So obviously Liverpool's most recent game is the Merseyside derby.
Shite.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. We're also going to run through, because it happened last night, it wasn't originally planned, but we may as well now. We can run through Man United.
It's a talking point.
And in fact, I probably think we'll end up talking about Ajax as well, and how funny that is. And also, in the last couple of minutes, while we've been sat here preparing, we've seen that Man City are apparently, getting investigated by UEFA for financial fair play breaches. So we'll have a little conversation about that as well.
And then we'll go to TGI Fridays and watch Captain Marvel.
Yeah. All sounds like a very, very good plan. Right, so starting at the beginning, which is always the best place to start, Merseyside derby.
That's not the best place to start.
That's
a bad place to start.
I know. I don't know what to say about it at this point, to be honest. I mean, it feels shit to bring it up again because it's at that point in the week now where I'm just looking forward to Burnley. And
yeah,
now
we're past the whole heads falling off stage of it, and
it's nice to
heads well and truly fell.
Yeah, it's nice to take a step back, isn't it? And now you can look at it and, you have to remember that this is just a ridiculous season. There's a good chance Liverpool finish second on a record points total for anyone who's ever finished second this season. And yet we're all going to sit here and we're all worried because in our last two games against our two biggest rivals, Liverpool have looked a bit conservative, to be honest.
Yeah, there's that spark wasn't there. We got through a couple of times against both teams, but just could not finish at all. Salah looks devoid of confidence.
Looks like a different fella.
Yeah, but the whole front three was just not good. Midfield uninspired. Substitutions against Everton, at least, completely baffling. The one bright spark in all of that was Trent's come back, and Virgil van Dijk was brilliant against Everton.
Yeah, I mean,
really, really good. It's incredibly frustrating seeing how good we were against Watford, and then just how nothing we were against Everton.
I think
they are very similar quality teams, as in they're both shite mid-table teams, and we just could not do anything against Everton.
I think if you step aside from the whole derbyness of it all, do you know what I mean, and you can put that to one side, and let's be honest, it shouldn't be too difficult for Liverpool players to do that, because with the obvious exceptions of Trent Alexander-Arnold, Jordan Henderson, James Milner, Andy Robertson, we're dealing with people who've not been in England for more than 10 years.
Yeah.
People who don't really understand the Merseyside derby as a proper hatred. Derbies, for example, I think it's very easy for a player to turn up at Man City and understand the Man United derby because you're playing against Man United. It's a big game no matter what. Whereas to turn up at Everton, and this isn't meant as like it's going to come across a dig anyway, but whatever. When you play against Everton, you're playing against a team who've won nothing since 1995 and have struggled to getting any kind of consistency. So you're basically playing against. You basically it should be the same as playing against a West Ham or a Leicester or something like that. Do you know what I mean? It shouldn't be this whole. It doesn't feel like it should be this whole. There's a massive amount of pressure on this game. It's not like we had massive amount of pressure as well as fans, I don't think, because we laugh at Everton a lot.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Usually it is like they say the whole form goes out the window in derbies and all that, but it's just bollocks because Everton have been crap for ages. We've been much better than them for ages, and for the vast majority of the time, we've won. We've beat them or got draws or whatever. They haven't beat us at Ajax since 1999. They haven't beat us at all since 2011. We haven't led for ages, I think. The last time we haven't led since 2013 or something stupid.
The last time Everton beat Liverpool, Roy Hodgson was in charge.
Yeah, exactly. I know it's a derby, and I know like away against one of like your classic rivals is a difficult game, and taking these two games completely out of context of the season, an away draw to Everton and United in any other season they're good results. They are good results. Like you win at home, you draw away. That used to be how you win titles, but it's not that simple anymore because we're up against this City team, and it's just so frustrating to come out of that week having 5 points out of a possible 9.
Yeah, it is. It is incredibly frustrating.
We've dropped 4 points in that race and dropped behind 1 point behind City now.
Yeah, I mean the whole rhetoric about Liverpool of blown a 7 point gap over Man City and stuff. We all knew it was tenuous when it all came down to the Man City game, and if we'd have beaten them there, then maybe we're sitting here and we're having a different conversation. But we knew Man City weren't going to go away. The Manchester City of last season.
Yeah,
it's just seeming to show now, and they've got this kind of steeliness about them this season where they're just winning games. The last two results against West Ham and Bournemouth, 2-1 wins, but they're wins. At the end of the day, no one gives a flying fuck how you play on the day when you look back in the history books, because all it shows is that Man City got 3 points from it.
Yeah.
Whereas all Liverpool will see is, we have these two results that aren't by any means catastrophic, but what it has done is it's handed the initiative to Man City.
Yeah, it's in their hands now. Like there's only 9 games left. There's so little margin for error, and I've said, I think all season that it's going to go down to the last day. Even when we were 7 points clear, it could have been 10 points clear if we'd have beat City. It was always going to go down to the last day. We don't have the squad that City do, and they are a ridiculous team, and like you said, they were just never going away. It just doesn't make it any less frustrating.
No, definitely not. And I think this is one of the rare times as well where I think criticism, I say rare times, it's always good to critique what your manager's doing, but this is one of the rare times where Jurgen Klopp is completely like, I don't see a defence for how conservative we were against Everton. At the end of the day, if Liverpool were a point behind Everton, behind Man City even, or a point behind, 2 points behind Man City, in the grand scheme of things, it's not much at this point in time. Do you know what I mean? Regardless, if we finish level on points with Man City, we're gonna get beat on goal difference as it carries on. Do you know what I mean? Our strikers just aren't scoring enough goals as it stands, and we clawed all that back, and now obviously we're not conceding goals. I mean, that's one thing that should be mentioned. Liverpool aren't defending badly or anything like that.
No,
it just seems to have a lack
4
of
or
spark.
5 clean sheets in a row now?
5 clean sheets in a row. So we aren't defending badly, and we aren't exactly playing badly. We just seem to be a team that's being held back a little bit in 2 games in particular. And obviously we went flying at Watford and we win 5-0. But for United and for Everton, I think there's criticism at Jurgen Klopp in the fact that you can say around and he's almost paid too much. He's paid too much of a compliment to the rivalries. So for United, you understand that because United are on this great run of form under Solskjaer, which obviously we'll talk about later on as well. But when you look at Everton, like he's paid Everton a massive compliment there, and Everton do not deserve it this season at all. You know what I mean? They've been so up and down all over the place. There's been no possible sign of consistency anywhere except for the fact that it's win-loss, win-loss. Do you know what I mean? It's just play well, then lose. So consistently inconsistent, as we used to say about Liverpool, I suppose, didn't we? But it seems like Jurgen Klopp's just been like, right, I don't want us to lose this game. And if we lose this game, it's catastrophic. Whereas if he turns around and he's just like, all right, we're going to lose. If we lost at Everton, then, all right, heads would be gone more. But I'd much rather see Liverpool just fly at Everton. We had the talent on the bench there to do something else, and instead we've seen Adam Lallana play instead. Do you know what I mean? It's
But then we're getting into the territory of like it being like the 2013-14 season where we're going flying at teams that maybe we shouldn't. Like we went flying against Chelsea during the run-in of 13-14. because that's all we knew how to do. We didn't know how to be more conservative, and maybe Klopp's a bit fearful of doing something like that away at United and away at Everton, and it derailing our season like that happened in 13-14. Obviously, I know this is a wildly different team now, but I can see some of the logic to saving your legs to go flying at teams that you know you can beat, and being a little bit more conservative in the trickier games. I can see the logic in that, and in any other season that would be sound, absolutely sound in practice, and it'd be perfect.
Yeah.
Like 5 points in these run of 3 games would have been a great result. Like away at United and away at Everton, and then a convincing home win against a mid-table team. That's fine, especially having beaten both United and Everton earlier on in the season. It's just in the context of this season, this ridiculous season, where it seems like a catastrophe. And I'm not trying to say anyone whose head did fall off or anyone who is disappointed is wrong, because my head well and truly fell off when Adam Lallana came on. Usually I'm one of the calmest and last heads to go, I guess, at least in our group. But my God, I did not know what to do when he brought Adam Lallana on. When I was convinced it must have been Shaqiri to come on.
I originally thought it was just he was going to be the winner, because that's just the way we work. Do you know what I mean? It's just weird goal scorers. 2 points there that I want to mention is that I think resting players is all well and good for a run-in, but this is a side who had a week between Everton and Burnley. Do you know what I mean? We're literally talking about almost a full week between the two fixtures. You know, we play 4:15 on the Sunday to play Everton, and we're playing 12 o'clock against Burnley this week coming. So I think the idea of resting players is all well and good, but when you have that week there, then you know the question marks have to come in there. How long do they need to recover, especially when we've had 2 massive long breaks as well, where we've done warm over training. And you know, if you're talking about resting players as well, why is Gini Wijnaldum starting when he's clearly not fit as well? Do you mean Gini Wijnaldum has to come off for James Milner because he just wasn't looking 100%? And the other point I'd mention as well is, you say 5 points from 9 is good return from when you look at the games. I don't disagree with that. I do think that's true in isolation, but when you extend it back and you look that not so long ago we've drawn with Leicester and West Ham.
I understand that.
They automatically mean that there's pressure on United and Everton games that we have to go and win those games.
Yeah.
Well, we have to win. I think we have to win at least one.
But these draws aren't the problem. It's the Leicester and the West Ham draws. They are the problem. They're the games that we need to win.
Definitely.
Which just piled more unnecessary pressure onto these games, which were never meant to be must win. What we want to do is we want to be in a position where games like this aren't must win. And for that, we needed to win West Ham and Leicester. Yeah. And if this title isn't won, it's those games rather than the draws, than the missed opportunity against United and the stupid substitutions against Everton. It's definitely those games rather than these.
I've said it before as well. I think this is a weird excuse, I guess, but it does wind me up that Liverpool just have that two more competitive games a season more than everybody else who we're challenging for leagues for. Do you know what I mean? So if you take the top 6 in isolation, all of their derbies, all of their massive games are against somebody else in the top 6. Yeah. Whereas Liverpool have to then...
We have that and Everton.
As well. So for example, Tottenham and Arsenal's derby is against another North London rival. Man United and Man City, even Chelsea have the same with Arsenal and Tottenham. Whereas Liverpool have that with every single one of those teams. So that's 10 games already that feel massive a season. And then you add 2 Merseyside derbies on top of that as well. And none of those teams feel any kind of anywhere near the pressure playing Everton that we do in terms of a fan base. I said before, we don't really pile on pressure to the squad, but at the end of the day, losing the derby would have been... I mean, the meltdown was tremendous on Twitter.
I wouldn't have gone to work at all this week.
Yeah, exactly, and that's exactly the kind of thing. I mean, losing a derby and then winning the league afterwards would be incredible still. But
I'd be sound then.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it seems weird because we're talking about this as if it's a loss, and you know we did the same with United to a point as well. That's how far this Liverpool team have come, that we treat results away at massive rivals as a loss. You know what I mean? Like we can treat a draw at a resurgent Man United, who, you know, last night knocked PSG out the Champions League. You know, they are full of great footballers, and we're treating a 0-0 draw away at Old Trafford, one of our bogey grounds, really, as it's shown throughout the years. We're treating that as a bad result.
Yeah,
it's not a bad result at all. It's what City do with that ground, and it's what I literally wrote an article after the Watford game that said, "Who cares what City do as long as Liverpool win their 10 games? This Liverpool team's 10 games. We have to care what City do now, and we've added that element in. Yeah. Now we have to look at we just have to do what we can and hope that Man City falter. And there's periods where Man City will run into tough games. I think they've got Man United, Tottenham, Burnley, and then 2 Champions League quarterfinals.
Yeah, and also
Crystal Palace,
an FA Cup semi-final.
Yeah, and it's all within like April, I think.
Yeah, they've got a horrible April coming up.
And
someone on Twitter said that there's a possibility of all in April.
Four
Manchester derbies.
Yeah, 4 Manchester derbies. And apparently the League One will be the last game as well, because it's the 26th, I believe. So that could be the last game of the month. So Man United could conceivably have beaten them 3 times and go into that game with this kind of hoodoo over City. I mean, let's be honest, there's only one game we want them to win. I don't know, actually, because the Champions League's opened right up now as well, after last night. Well, after the last 2 nights. But we're still very much in this title race at the end of the day.
Yeah. Anyone throwing him a towel now is an idiot.
No, exactly. 9 games is so many games as well. When you think, like, at the start of a season, if you're top after 9 games, that's when you start considering a title race to be on. Mm-hmm. And now you have to consider, with 9 games left, that if you're still within a shout, then you know it's still conceivably on. Obviously, it'd be better if we were playing City at some point in the running, but you know,
so it could still be in our hands. But...
Yeah, I think there's question marks being raised over the squad each time we struggle in a game as well. For example, the performance of Mo Salah over these last 2 games, like. For both games, I could tell within the first 5 minutes Mo Salah was going to have a bad game, because he'd just take a bad touch and the ball would go away from him and he'd let the defender in, and it's just straight away. For fuck's sake, what do you like? And the thing is, he recovers quite well from that against Everton in terms of getting himself into positions where he can create chances.
Yeah, he's cleaned through twice, and you'd put your house on it. You would put your house on him scoring one of them. I'm really concerned about Salah's attitude at the moment, that he's less and less about the front three and more about the individual. And it's just... There are times where Liverpool are countering, like recently, not just this game, in quite a few games recently, where Salah's got better options all over the place, and instead he's trying to curl her into the far corner. And he's just not found the form to be pulling those off. And there's a point where he seems like a fella who's just trying to get himself back into form, because he sets ridiculous standards for himself last season that he wants to try and reach those again. But it's hampering Liverpool at this point now. And there's almost an argument where it's, if Liverpool had gone out and we'd signed Nabil Fekir, or we'd signed Timo Werner in January, someone like that, then we would have an opportunity to pull Mo Salah out the firing line. But unfortunately, at the moment, especially with the injury to Firmino, there's not an opportunity to do that. No, it is a strange one, because Salah was so good last season, and he probably feels like he can hit those heights again. And maybe if he forces himself, it will click, because we've been saying all season it's gonna click, and it did for a bit. Over Christmas, like, he racked up the goals, got to the top of the goal scoring chart. It's just incredibly unfortunate that everyone seems to have fallen out of form at the same time.
Attack.
Yeah,
and even then,
yeah.
Sadio Mane hasn't.
Yeah, true.
He's had 2 bad games himself. He wasn't great against United, and he was very much missing against Everton.
Yeah.
But in terms of goal scoring in the other games, he's been great.
True. Yeah, he got like 4 and 5. Didn't
he? We're talking about 1 in 5 for Salah now.
Yeah.
And all right, he's good against Watford. He is really good against Watford.
Yeah, does everything but score.
Yeah, I think it does add to the argument as well that we have just shackled them in these last 2 games, and we've basically not last 2 games, last 2 away games, and we've basically just been like, right, you just need to calm down and play this way instead. And it's the idea.
Maybe that is it. And next game at home to Burnley, we see them unleashed again.
And you can hope so. You can only hope so. I think you look at our fixture list now. You couldn't handpick 9 better fixtures. Even if you were picking top 4 rivals to play, I'd probably want to play Chelsea and probably want to play Tottenham. Yeah. Purely because Tottenham, there's a point this season where Tottenham will just concentrate on the Champions League because they're
also their legs seem to have just fallen off. They lost 2 and then drawn the most recent one.
I did say that was going to happen.
Finally, draw, yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah, and I just think that with the run of games we've got, obviously Man City have still got a lot of nice games in there as well, games you'd expect them to do well in. For example, they got Watford this weekend. Before we beat Watford 5-0, I'd have said that was a tough fixture, but if we're beating them 5-0, City, we've got the way that City are playing lately, they could easily match that. I say that have been poor last 2 games.
They did okay on the counter. We just mopped up. Van Dijk and Alisson were brilliant, but they've got no Fernandinho, they've got no Laporte, so
no John Stones as well. Apparently, no Kevin De Bruyne.
I don't think a win against Watford for them is as set in stone as you think.
Yeah.
That might just be wishful thinking from me, but they're a decent team. I know we beat them 5-0, but they had some chances against us which we mopped up.
Yeah. I mean, there's no point in discussing who the man of the match was because it was obviously Virgil van Dijk.
Yeah, he was pretty much the only one.
At the start of the season, me and you both predicted our player of the season.
Yeah.
Now, I went with Sadio Mane.
You did.
Which, it hasn't turned out to be the worst shout.
He's done good.
You went with Naby Keita.
I did.
Which has turned out to be a pretty bad shout.
Yeah.
Neither of us went with Virgil van Dijk.
No.
He looks the odds-on favourite to win Player of the Year.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I was about to say, any arguments at all?
No, I can't think of a better player in this league.
Yeah, he's Liverpool's best player.
He's Liverpool's best player. Honestly, I think he's this league's best player. I haven't seen anyone be as consistently good as him all season.
I think there is nobody better in their own position at this moment in time than Virgil van Dijk, in terms of just getting
full stop. The world or just the league.
I mean, there's an argument for the world, isn't there? Let's be honest. Let's be honest. There, who's consistently performing as well as Virgil van Dijk is every single week? The only blips he's had this season, he wasn't great against Leicester or West Ham, and that was when he was coming back from illness and he wasn't fully fit. Now that he's fully fit, I mean, he has this effortlessness about him, which everyone always talks about, but it is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I've never seen anyone so calm and so relaxed.
Remember when everyone used to describe Emre Can as a Rolls Royce of a player? Virgil van Dijk is a Rolls Royce. He is just so smooth and elegant and just relaxed.
Yeah. Nothing phases him at all.
No. He's an absolute Adonis as well. Nothing gets past him.
Yeah.
I think he's the only defender in the league who hasn't. It might be. This might be in the Champions League. He hasn't been dribbled past once.
He's fantastic. And the one time I do remember him getting dribbled past was Riyad Mahrez, and he brought them down and conceded the penalty.
Yeah.
which Mahrez blazed over. But yeah, and I can't speak enough about Virgil van Dijk, to be honest. He is genuinely the only reason my head didn't completely go after the derby. I mean, I sort of calmed down as I was writing my review for the match.
In the chat, your head went a bit. But,
yeah, I mean, in all fairness, though, I mean, the fucking the wind chat and stuff like that, coming straight out and saying it in the heat of the moment, it fuels it fuels memories of Brendan Rodgers, and Brendan Rodgers used to do stupid things like that, and it just paints a target on your back straight away, where you just like, the grass is too long, the wind was blowing from all kinds of directions, I've never seen rain like it, you know, do you know what I mean? Little things like that, like, fine, alright, he's taking attention off of his players and he's putting it on himself, and I can understand that from a manager's point of view. I could understand them doing that, you know. Mourinho was a twat, but he had this certain way of doing that as well before he went to Man United and started blaming everybody. But I just don't like I want a manager who's just going to come out and just be like, listen, we didn't play well. We didn't do everything we could have done in the final third, and we know that, and we're going to work on it next week. And obviously we've dropped points and we're disappointed, but we are going to work to correct these errors. I don't want easy excuses. Like, it's too easy to, you know, in the Premier League, it is too easy to blame the referee every week. Referees are always shit every week, do you know what I mean, in the Premier League. So there's a point where coming out and saying, well, the ref was shite, it's like, you know, that's going to happen, deal with it. Just, you are allowed to criticise players, and you are allowed to criticise your manager without being Klopp out, or, you know, sell Salah or anything like that. You're allowed to have a go at these players, because at the end of the day, we're the ones who pay to go and see them. And if it's the same way you're allowed to say a film's bad if you've gone to see it in the pictures. Do you know what I mean? You're allowed to say that. I'm getting that out the way before we go and watch Captain Marvel tonight.
It's gotta be boss. It's gotta be boss.
But no, it's that kind of attitude still. I think. Sometimes I just want honesty, and I can appreciate honesty when I think Pogba did it earlier on this season for United, and he just came out and went, we weren't good enough. We just weren't good enough at all, and that's fine. Just say it how it is sometimes, because fans appreciate honesty. If you can turn around and you can be mature about it. Sometimes life doesn't go your way, and football's very much the same. You just have bad days in the office, and you're allowed to have them, but don't try and make shit excuses about it. Do you know what I mean? You come across as a clown, and yeah, he hasn't done himself any favours. He's just made himself another meme. Do you know what I mean? It little things like that piss me off, and I'm completely infallible as far as I'm concerned. Jurgen Klopp, I don't care if he doesn't win the league for the next 2-3 years. I don't give a flying fuck. If Liverpool stick by him, he'll win the league. It will happen. Do you know what I mean? There's definite progression this season, and I know there are certain parties in Liverpool fans who are just like, I'm fucked off of hearing the word progression and progress and how Liverpool are getting there. But at the end of the day, Liverpool are now one of the best sides in Europe again. When Jurgen Klopp took over, you know, we'd just drawn, was it 1-1 in the Merseyside derby?
Yep.
And that was the high point of that season up until that point. You know, we were at a point where Christian Benteke was playing for us and Simon Mignolet was in goal.
Dark days.
Well, yeah, I mean, they were darker a couple of years beforehand, but
True.
Yeah. I think you have to take it in context. People want success because we went out and we lashed money on Alisson and Keita and Fabinho, and you know, obviously the Naby Keita thing, not Naby Keita, the Nabil Fekir thing has made it a lot harder for Liverpool this season as well, in terms of everyone now knows Liverpool were after another attacking player. Liverpool identified that area as somewhere that needed improvement and didn't improve it. So it automatically paints another target where you're just like, well, you knew you had that problem. Why haven't you sorted that problem? And that's, you know, it's great for us when we can sit here and we can talk about it. Do you know what I mean? We can sit here and we can say, when it comes to the summer, oh, well, we know Liverpool were after this last summer. But after a game, it's one of the things that comes into your head straight away, isn't it? Well, you knew we needed more creativity in this meal. Where's the fucking creativity? Why you know, all right, Naby Keita's not worked out as it could have, but why didn't you go and sign somebody else? It's the exact same thing as we did with Virgil van Dijk, isn't it? You know, we turned around and we were like, everyone, mine and yours included,
our heads completely
fucking flew off my shoulders when we didn't get Van Dijk and we just didn't sign anybody, and I was just like, well, that's it then. Why do we even fucking bother? We could have bought anybody to play centre half. And in the end, we've been proved wrong, because Liverpool knew what they were after, and Liverpool aren't going to rush any signings. But it's still the urgency of we want this club to do so well, and I think it's also we want Jurgen Klopp to do well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? As a fan base, everyone wants Jurgen Klopp to do well, except for those who are, perpetually putting them down. Like it's mad the amount of people I've seen just being like, "He's a serial loser" and stuff like that. From amongst Liverpool fans, don't give a flying fuck. I want the fella to succeed. Yeah, bit ranty that, but yeah.
That's good.
So 0-0 draw. We play Burnley this weekend. Hopefully that goes a lot smoother. Burnley are a bit resurgent since Tom Eaton came back in. Apparently Tom Eaton's got one of the best points per game ratios of any club or player in the Premier League at this point. He's got a better points per game ratio this season apparently than Spurs have. I read on Twitter the other day, which is fucking Brilliant. Madness. So I mean, it'll be interesting to see how we get on against Burnley. Hopefully, we can just
put that bad week behind us.
We can remind everybody what we're about.
Yeah.
Especially if Watford do us a favour against City as well, which I don't fancy. But we've just got to try
and win all of our games from now to the end of the season, and just hope that something happens with City. That's all we can do now.
Yeah,
it's out of our hands.
No, I completely agree. So we may as well talk about the Champions League then.
Yep.
Liverpool don't play in the Champions League until next Wednesday against Bayern Munich, the second leg. But we can take great comfort. We're taking a 0-0 draw in to the away leg, but we can take great comfort in what happened this game week in terms of Ajax have gone through, having been down in the first leg. Man United have gone through, having been down in the first leg. I mean, they're two very, very different performances. But, I mean, let's talk about Man United first. I mean, it's never a penalty.
No.
Ever. In a million years. It's never a penalty. It will be next season.
Oh, yeah. He's turning away and he's trying to get his arm out of the way of the ball, and it hits him and it's still a penalty. Makes me wonder whether Alberto Moreno can see into the future, though, because you remember when he used to just run around the box with his arms behind his back. I think he knew this was coming.
The mad
he's a clairvoyant. He's a genius.
He's fucking not. The mad thing about Kimpembe is I challenge anybody to run forward and then jump as if you were blocking a ball.
Yep.
And you watch where your arm comes to. And it's exactly where Kimpembe's arm comes out to. Do you know what I mean? It's not like he's jumped. You can't jump with your arms behind your back or your arms wrapped around the front of you.
Alberto Moreno could.
But he's a special kind of fella, isn't he? But for referees, just Bill Shankly said, the trouble with referees is they know the rules, but they don't know the game.
Yeah.
And that has never been proven more than with VAR, I think, because they just go by the rules, and when you slow down a footage like that, and it looks like Kimpembe has lashed his arm out to the side.
It all looks like a handball in slow motion. It's stupid.
I mean, it's used really well in the Roma game because there's a clear penalty for Porto.
Yeah.
Florenzi loses his head a little bit and pulls his shirt back. It's a clear penalty straight away. And, the referee gives it. But it's just so subjective at the moment, VAR, and I suppose refereeing is in general.
That's just refereeing in general.
Yeah,
VAR is just a tool they can use. I don't think anyone can blame VAR.
No, definitely not.
It's just shit officiating.
It just gives. Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? Like VAR can improve as much as it wants until referees improve. We're still going to get shit decisions.
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter. Having said that, Man United go there. Play three teenagers they finished the match with three teenagers on the pitch, and it's an incredible effort. It really is.
It really, really is. And hatred of Man U aside,
it's great to see PSG go out.
Exactly. It's fantastic to see PSG go out in that fashion as well.
Yeah,
fucking brilliant.
Neymar absolutely fuming. I love it, especially after how much they celebrated the win against us as well. Yeah. It's fantastic. It's exactly what you're in the Champions League for, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah.
To watch nights like that. I mean, it's obviously frustrating that it's Man United who
of course,
the beneficiaries of it.
It's high drama. It's good telly. It's fucking great telly.
It's really funny as well because nobody gives a flying fuck about Tottenham, who have beaten Borussia Dortmund, one of the best teams in Europe, 4-0 over 2 legs. It's a really, really impressive achievement. No one gives a flying fuck because Man United have knocked out PSG, having been 2-0 down the first leg, and Real Madrid have been knocked out by Ajax, who the fucking, like, you know,
who play a team of kids, not just 3.
Anyone born probably after 1999 doesn't know who Ajax are, except for maybe they're a mad team you go on FIFA every now and then. Do you know what I mean? I still have memories of Ajax being half decent, but like no one gives a like. You know, they're trying to think who their level. They're probably on the same level as Porto, to be honest, in the Champions League, and they flew at Real Madrid and they were fantastic. Absolutely, it was one of the best games of football I've watched this season.
Obliterated them.
It was fantastic to watch. And Dusan Tadic, I mean, Southampton fans are fuming watching that. Not even asked. Yeah. Imagine that, like all the players they sold for fucking millions and millions of pounds, and then Dusan Tadic goes for nothing, and he's fucking one of the very few players who's ever earned a 10 out of 10 rating from L'Equipe, is it? French paper.
I read that as well.
Fantastic. I mean, we can't put down Ajax's achievements, and we can't belittle Ajax. You know, they're a fantastic club with a lot of rich history. But it is
proper European club.
Yeah, exactly. They are. They're a bigger club than Man City, bigger club than Chelsea, bigger club than Tottenham. To be
Combined.
What's that?
Combined.
Exactly. They've won more than all of them in terms of Europe. You know, they're responsible for total football, I guess, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? And that old thing from the 70s, but
responsible for so many European talents coming through as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's just great to see them resurging, but they aren't to the point where they can keep hold of big players. So my question is, who do you want from Ajax this summer?
Harsh. Tadic has already come out and said that he's definitely staying 100%, and he's hoping to convince.
I wouldn't want him.
Yeah, no, but he's hoping to convince everyone else at Ajax to stay as well, because he wants Ajax to actually build on this rather than sell.
I think if any team was gonna do it, like, it will be Ajax. Do you know what I mean? In terms of keeping kids, and also there's a fantastic precedent been set by Ajax and Man United as well. To be fair, from last night, in the fact that you can turn around now and you can say to top European clubs, they can look at what they've done and be like, they've given their kids a proper go there, and look where they are now. They're in the quarterfinals of the Champions League, using their youth setup, and there's not enough teams who are willing to do that. And obviously Liverpool, whilst we have Trent there, we don't, by any stretch of imagination, we don't use enough of our youth talent. I mean, we've got them there, but we don't use them ever. I mean, we all thought Curtis Jones would get more than, what is it? Has he played one game this season?
I think so, yeah.
And that was FA Cup away at Wolves?
Yes.
Yeah, I can't remember if he played in the League Cup. No, because it was against Chelsea, so he didn't play. So, I mean, we all expected him to kick on. I mean, we've been waiting for years for Harry Wilson to actually get a proper chance in the first team. Ben Woodburn seems to have disappeared off of a cliff as well. So for teams like United and Ajax to actually give their youngsters a go at the top level, obviously, albeit United was forced upon them, it's great to see, and it's good for football as well.
100%, yeah.
The correct answer to the question I asked is De Ligt.
Yeah, that's fair, but isn't he already signed pre-contract with Barca?
No, that's De Jong. Yeah, Frankie De Jong. He dominated the midfield. That's why I didn't say him, because he dominates. He is exactly. Do you know the other week when I said about making Fabinho a centre half?
Yeah.
He is exactly the player Liverpool could have got, what should have got. If we'd have gone out and bought Frankie De Jong and had him as the midfielder replacing Fabinho, and then dropped Fabinho in alongside Virgil van Dijk, we'd have been set for years. I mean, obviously he's gone to Barcelona.
Hindsight's 2020.
So what we'll do instead is we'll keep Fabinho where he is, and we'll just sign De Ligt instead, because he is fucking brilliant. He's 19 years old, and he's been their captain since he was 17. Fucking madness. I'll also have Ziyech as well, because he played really well. And yeah, I mean, I really hope they don't get raided. All jokes aside, I really hope they don't get raided, because it's similar to what happened at Monaco.
Yeah, I was literally about to say Monaco.
Only you don't give a flying fuck what happens at Monaco, because they're supported by people who've got too much money, whereas Ajax are just a traditional club who've always had a good academy, and now they're just at a point where they've managed to keep hold of some of their youth talent. I saw Everton fans fuming on Twitter because they were like, how the fucking hell, out of all of their youth talent, did we sign Davy Clarkson? Which is
because that's all you got offered.
Fantastic. But yeah, I mean, fair play to United, fair play to Ajax, Tottenham as well, and Porto. That was the last one.
Nice to see Real Madrid go out. Nice,
it is.
Always nice to see PSG go out. And this Champions League is wide open. Wide open.
Exactly. I mean,
Juventus don't look as dominating as I thought they would. So it's anyone's game, really.
So, yeah, exactly. So next round of fixtures is Atletico, Juve, Liverpool, Bayern, Liverpool, City, Schalke, and Barcelona, Lyon. So you're probably looking there, if we're being optimistic about it, you're saying Liverpool are through, Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, and City.
Yeah.
So out of that, I mean, you have to say Liverpool are one of the favourites in that. If we can get past Bayern Munich, obviously it's a massive challenge.
Current form notwithstanding.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we're one of the strongest teams, yeah.
If you were going to pick a manager to do it and a team to do it, it's Liverpool with Jurgen Klopp, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? So I think we're in a good position for that. So the last thing I want to talk about, we spoke about the Champions League. Man City could get banned from it next season. They won't.
That's conversation over.
It won't be next season anyway. It won't be over that quickly.
UEFA won't do a fucking thing.
Yeah, I know.
The evidence is damning. Everyone's read that Der Spiegel article. Well, the multitudes of articles.
I was about to say they've released another one recently, haven't they? So
it's absolutely fantastic journalism, and they've got some proper dirt on Man City there. Like they've done a lot of dodgy things to funnel money into that club that should not be allowed. But nothing will get done because the exact same happened with PSG. They're both owned by countries, and they both have a ridiculous amount of money that is not there through official means.
Do you not think it's different this time, though? Surely it's different this time in the fact that all the information is available readily to the public in the public eye. UEFA, if you're investigating teams off the record and behind closed doors and stuff like that, you can make anything disappear at the end of the day. You can make Real Madrid selling their training ground to the Principality. You can make the not Principality, to the royal family.
City can just deny it, say all those documents are fake. That's all they have to do. In this world of fake news,
it's leaked emails, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like,
they can say they're fake.
I don't think
I just don't see anything sticking. I really, really don't.
I don't think you can brush all this under the rug as quickly. I think
they have enough money to be able to.
City do, but it's such a precedent for it. This has never happened before, and this could genuinely have massive ramifications in football. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This could be.
Don't get me wrong.
Huge.
I want nothing more than this to happen to City.
If UEFA ever wanted to take a stand against somebody, it's this time. And don't forget, they've already had a go at AC Milan. All right, they backed down, but they had a go at AC Milan for it, and they very nearly did something positive for a change.
They didn't.
But they didn't. But that wasn't all readily available information. There are now as you've just said, there are multitudes of articles out there where you can just look through what City have done, and you can't just escape that. You can't. It's all in the public eye.
I think you've got to look at it from UEFA's point of view of, are they really going to do this, like, enforce a ban against a team that makes them so much money?
Do you think Man City...
People tune in to watch Champions League to see Pep Guardiola, to see Neymar and Mbappe, stuff like that.
Fine, so you can use that point, okay. England have top six all competing for European Cup places. So let's say this season that if the top four finishes Liverpool, Man City, Tottenham and Man United, Chelsea and Arsenal definitely pull in more money than Man City do. Of a global stage, in terms of a global stage, Chelsea and Arsenal, if Man City have to drop out and that place goes to Chelsea or Arsenal, then they pull in more money than Man City do.
Viewership maybe, but like Man City are backed by a country. That money goes to UEFA in some way. Like, it might not be above board, but there is money going from Qatar to UEFA.
Chelsea are literally...
Is it Qatar? Qatar's PSG, isn't it? Abu Dhabi, sorry.
Yeah. It's PSG because Qatar,
I was going to say.
No, I do. I just think Chelsea must pour in as much as they do as well. Chelsea know the value of European football, of Champions League football. They've won the fucking thing now as well. So you can actually legitimately say now that Chelsea have history in the European Cup. And Man City, that's something Man City don't have. So Chelsea being in there will pull in more viewers. I'm not saying that will happen. I mean, I could fully see UEFA turning around and saying, well, FA have let them get away with this. So what we're going to do is we're just going to scrap the Champions League place altogether, and England can only have 3 this season. And I could see that happening instead. But the idea that England would suffer if Chelsea or Arsenal came in instead would, do you know what I mean? They are, on a global stage, they are bigger clubs than Man City. Man City fans,
are. I'm not saying Man City are a big club at all. They can't even sell out the stadium.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's one thing that definitely comes with Chelsea and Arsenal. They'll both sell out their grounds. They'll both sell out the stadiums. Teams will still be excited.
Means nothing to these people.
Teams will still be excited to watch to watch that game though. I think teams will be as excited to watch Chelsea Barcelona as they would be to watch City. Maybe not Barcelona because of the Guardiola thing actually. But how many times do you reckon people have turned on their tellies to watch Arsenal be absolutely twatted by Bayern Munich?
It is dead funny though.
Exactly. And that's gone from this season. It could be back next year. That's all I'm asking for. UEFA, if you are listening, that'd be great. If you could just put Arsenal in the Champions League instead of Man City, and therefore we could all have a great time. And if you can take a couple of points off Man City as well, obviously this season's probably a bit early. Next season, if they start 15 points down, that'd be great.
I want a unicorn and a dragon as well, please, while we're on impossible things.
It's not impossible. It's just it's highly unlikely.
UEFA will not bite the hand that's feeding them and feeding them so much money. They just won't. I'm sorry. This is a.
I mean, if you're going to use that argument, they wouldn't have let Real Madrid go out last night on Tuesday. They wouldn't have let Real Madrid get beat by Ajax.
They only have so much influence there. But this is enforcing a ban or choosing not to. This is not paying off a referee.
Ajax is their goal. There's no paying off the referee. They tell them what to. They can tell them what to do if they felt like it. Ajax's their goal is literally affected by VAR. Like they spend, I think it's 4 minutes deciding if the ball has gone out for a throw in beforehand. It's definitely clear. Like it's definitely could have gone either way.
Yeah,
it's not clear.
You're talking about match fixing here, which is like another step. I don't think they'd go about
You're talking about leaving a team in the competition just because they give you money. That's as bad as match fixing.
No, I'm not saying it's not bad. I'm just saying they'll do one thing, but they won't do the other. There's a line.
Match fixing definitely it's not beyond the realms of
it's not beyond the realms of what they would want to do or of what is possible. But it's like they can. People can prove match fixing took place. This can just be swept under the carpet.
No, it can't. The fucking articles are there.
The articles are there. They could just say they're all fake.
You could do that with match fixing as well. You can still prove it happens. Juventus are one of the biggest clubs in the world. When they got found out for match fixing, they got knocked down to Serie B by the the Italian FA. If they fancy doing that, imagine how much that hurt Italian football. To watch Juventus go down to Serie B for a season. Imagine how bad that was for Italian football. UEFA could do that, no problem at all to Man City. Man City are fucking nothing on the European stage.
I just don't think they will.
And regardless, Real Madrid last season versus Juventus in the semi-final, you fucking tell me there was nothing involved in that game. The amount of bad decisions in that game, you tell me there was nothing involved. Real Madrid are the devil's club. They can fuck off. I'm glad they're out the competition. But they've definitely had a helping hand in the past. Alright, we're both saying UEFA are corrupt from different angles here, to be fair. And that's what we're going to end up on finishing on. But what I mean is, if UEFA ever want financial fair play to actually work, this is the ideal opportunity with one of the biggest spenders. If you could take them down, then a lot of other clubs won't risk it, and that's that's the thing. Do you know what I mean? They won't risk. Teams won't risk spending like Man City have if it means that they're not going to be able to compete in Champions League for a year or two, because that can be crippling. Remember when Liverpool fell out of the Champions League and then we disappeared from it for fucking 8 years or whatever it was?
In the mid-table oblivion.
No,
The wilderness.
How long were we out of it for? 4 years? 5 years? It is. 5 years.
It's okay.
5 years it was. Yeah, we're back in it now, it's fine. Right, there you go. It got heated at the end.
It did a bit.
It always does. It's fine. Thank you very much for listening. Again, sorry this was a bit late. Blame me for reformatting my laptop. If you've liked what you heard, please share this. Really do appreciate it. I finally got round to putting up the Twitter link full of all of the links to all the sites. So go on there and have a browse through. Follow us on wherever you like. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.